Yeah, it's Mercy. Music by Mercy again. Heat Nation, we the culture. Yo, E, I need you to call timeout. Need Brady to set the floor plan. Tropical blanket, open for the shot. Yo, Greg, set the pick. Still 5 on the floor, still ride for my dog. Still battle on the court, still survive in the war. Keep your eye on the ball, or get burned from the keep this mic off the wall without turning the cheek. From night to day, no sleepy paths or allowed to mourn us. The nut is sleeping us, never catch us snoring. Live from Miami, report in the heat with 5 Reasons Sports from the court to the streets. Yeah, Wake County, Heat Nation, we say it proudly.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Five on the Floor. Welcome into 5 on the Floor. We are live tonight on the YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at 5 Reasons Sports. Make sure that you check out Brady Hawk at Brady Hawk 305 and Alex Toledo at Tropical Blanket. The Miami Heat are back on the board in terms of wins after a 6-game losing streak. Excuse me, was it 5 or 6? It was how many was it? I'm sorry, 5. I'm sorry, 5, almost 6. They actually trailed the Nets at times in this game. Had trouble pulling away, but then did. They had one run in the fourth quarter, which basically was sufficient. And so a Nets team that is in tank mode. They've won some games that maybe people weren't expecting to win. Michael Porter Jr. has had a great year, but again, they're not competing for anything this year. This is the kind of game that you absolutely have to win. Probably should have won it more comfortably if you were playing at the level that you're playing earlier in the season, but they're not. So at least they get to 15-12 on the year. And we'll get to the player of the game here in a second. But I mean, Brady, let's just start with the decision of the game, which may lead into that decision to start Kel'el Ware, who honestly is probably the player of the game tonight, right? We're probably going to talk about him later, but let's get into the background of the decision here and why they did it, who was out, and you've been pushing for this. So
not only pushing for it, but when you're facing a team, first of all, they had to make a starting lineup adjustment already because of the guys that are out and being without Tyler. Number two, when you're playing a team that is that large in a starting lineup, that literally, I think their smallest guy was like 6'6". Like they have like a bunch of 6'10", at least 3 6'10" guys. There's no reason not to start Kel'el Ware in this type of game. Like there should be like that one Orlando game, the third Orlando game when they didn't start Kel'el. It just like they should go big when you play teams like this. You just should. And I think you see in a game like this, which we're going to talk about this game, it was just really was an ugly watch. I mean, this was an ugly basketball game. This was awful offensive product. It was not fun, but there was 3 guys that played well offensively. It was Norman Powell, it was Jaime Jaquez, and it was Kel'el Ware. And when Kel'el Ware does play like that, when he's playing at that offensive level, when he's involved offensively, when he's getting touches, when he's getting minutes, like when he's hitting 30-minute markers instead of sitting on the bench for 36 minutes, this team is a better basketball team. I mean, even if they weren't a better basketball team, I think we'd all still be pushing for him to play because of the potential in being where this team is. But you combine all that together, and I don't think there should ever be a game like there was recently where he's playing 12 minutes, like where he's sidelined for stuff. Like even if he's not playing well, you have to play him through it. Like there was one play where it makes you like it's a really dumb play. Like this is like not something you guys would predict I'm going to bring up, but it just kind of values like what he is and what like the things that he can do that others just can't. When it was late in the game, Drew Smith was inbounding. He couldn't get the ball in on the baseline. It was kind of put away. And he just had to throw it in the air to half court for Kel'el just to go up and get it. And it's like nobody else in this team is doing that. Like like you just don't have the ability to have a guy that you can just lay the ball up that high to and just bail you out of a possession. That's what Kel'el Ware is. He's just a specimen in that he can do things on both ends of the floor. That he can dominate on the boards when, like on a game like this, when he's active on the boards as well. It's a big part of this. I thought he was really good in that department in this game. Yeah, they were just better. I mean, definitely wasn't the greatest Bam game. So he kind of picked up the slack there a little bit. And it was interesting for a change to see Bam on the sideline with Kel'el kind of closing a game. And he did it playing well with I think they ended up with 22 and 12. So credit to him. And like I'm going to keep saying, they have to lean into this. They have to play him more and more. The more minutes he plays, the better he plays. The more he gets touches, the better offensively he plays. Like he's a confidence player. You have to lean into his rhythm.
This is the part of it that's gotten me to come around a little bit on this. I'm of the type that believes in the SPO philosophy to make players kind of earn it, that sometimes you can't let them play through all of their mistakes because it's not the best thing for them or for the team. When the Heat were playing at a high level offensively earlier in the year and people were pushing for where to start, I didn't really, I don't know, I didn't get behind it that much because I'm like, why would you break this thing in any way if it's working with some of the small ball combinations? But now that they've hit the wall, now that it's clear that they have not recaptured, I mean, even tonight they didn't, but they have not recaptured, and even without Tyler, by the way, so you can't blame him, other than the fact that he's never available. The fact that they haven't gotten back to that level offensively, at this point, I'm like, you know what? Just lean into the thing that has higher potential upside. That's it. Like, again, when the offense was looking great, you're playing around your weaknesses and all that. Everybody's ball's popping, all that stuff. Play your guards, okay? Play your guys who can all make plays, who can all sort of get downhill and all that. But no, I mean, that is over for right now. Like, they are not an elite offensive team. They're not playing with the same pace that they were playing before. So, Alex, if that's the case, even though I know you have issues with some of the things Ware does on the floor, I do also. Why not just play him? Why not just start him? Why not just make sure that he gets the 25, 30 minutes one way or another?
Yeah, I'm actually with that. I've tried to say it on other shows, and like I don't mean just like hand him the minutes on a silver spoon. You know, he still has to do the right things. You know, but at the end of the day, I haven't said that in a while. I think you got to play him and Bam together, and you got to give Ware a decent enough sample. Like if Spo is obviously like not comfortable playing him 30 minutes a game or whatever, but you know, those little short stints like that, I don't think it's going to be. I understand why he gets frustrated with him and then ends up taking minutes away from him. Like I see the stuff, but you know, I think in order for him to get to the other side, they got to work through it. And then even at worst, like if there's certain mistakes he's still making, you know, you can point that stuff out in film, but just sitting him, I don't know if that gets the message across. Maybe it does. I don't know. Like, I'm not the one that's spending time with him. Spo obviously knows so much more and knows like how to coach certain guys versus other guys. I'm sure that's not an easy thing, but Kel'el is somebody who from day one, they've talked about playing him with Bam. Right, from the night that they drafted him, Adam Simon was talking to us about that, right? And I think like maybe you don't give them 30 minutes, but you can play them together. Don't got to play them together all the time, but you can. And I like that has come back into the mix here, even last game when he wasn't starting, and even though he didn't play that much, like Spo going back to that look is a positive thing, I think. And honestly, I kind of like Ware better when he's next to Bam. I'm not gonna lie to you, because Bam does a lot of the stuff that like he makes up for the stuff that Ware is not great at. Like really, like they're almost opposites, not complete opposites, right? Like I don't want to like make it sound like I'm shading Ware, but like a lot of the stuff that Ware has, like I've had frustrations with, you know, Bam is good at, and I think they help each other on the defensive end, even though they still I think have work to like to get better on that end. But like what Brady was talking about earlier, when Kel'el is an offensive threat like this, I think he looks so much better, man. He looks so much better when he is like, you feel him as a guy who's like receiving, whether it's lobs or drop down passes, you know, like he hit the late three tonight, but wasn't forcing it. Like I that's to me the right offensive mix when it comes to Kel'el. My stuff with him has always been on a lot of the smaller stuff and a lot of it on defense. And, you know, like there were, you know, there were a couple tonight. There were still a couple tonight. I'm not gonna get into it because I don't want people to think I'm trying to talk down on him when he had a good night. He had a great night. You know, it's always with him about stacking together these types of days, and you know, just making sure that he you know, he doesn't get caught watching the ball like after it's gone up, like just putting a you know, a body on the man that's trying to get the rebound. Like he does these little things, and I think he's good. He's straight up just good. But yeah, man, like I'm glad that they've gone back to this look.
Let's go to a couple of the other looks that they went to tonight, Brady, and then we'll get back to the player of the game. And I think, are we all in agreement that the player of the game is going to end up being Kel'el? So we'll probably have to talk about somebody else. Are we there? Okay, there you go.
Spoiler alert.
Well, I mean, we have to come up with somebody else, so we'll come up with the second most important player of the game. But I want to get to a couple of the other combinations that we saw tonight. So, Brady, let's just go through these quickly, okay? Because it is a Nets game. We don't need to be here for 45 minutes. First one is Drew Smith and Davion Mitchell playing a lot of minutes together. particularly I guess it was late third, mostly early fourth. And they did some things defensively. Obviously, Tyler's not playing, Larson not available, so they were guard light tonight. But do you like it? Can they go to it more often?
I like it when it's an 89-87 game in the fourth quarter. Like when it's this ugly of an offensive game, it's the only way you're going to get away with it. Like if it's any of these games that they had early in the season where the offense is popping and it's kind of a back and forth game, playing fast, playing smooth, like good basketball. I don't know if you can go to it too much. Like it's just because of the size difference, especially against this Nets team, they're a little bit bigger. But because it was so ugly, because they needed defense, they needed turnovers, they needed stuff to go in the other direction. It was good. I mean, look, this was far from Drew's best game. I mean, we could go down the line. There was a lot of guys in this game that struggled. Drew could not find a shot. He couldn't. No. It's funny because it was just recently spoke about by Spo where he was talking about how good of a shooter Drew was and how he wants him to shoot more and get up more threes. He wasn't shy about getting them up. I mean, he was so open. Like he was almost forced to take a couple of those, but he was just so in his head about it. Like he couldn't knock one down. So that part of it was a little rough, but they still were able to. He had the steal then the third quarter, then went to Davion. He got the layup. They were good defensively in stretches, and it kind of got them through. Look, they have to win ugly sometimes. I mean, this team's not good enough where it's always going to be pretty. We know that. I mean, we've kind of seen this trend lately, but yeah, I don't think we're going to see too much of it. Look, the other combo we saw was Drew and Caspers, which was the first duo.
Well, that was going to be my next. So go to that one now.
I'll just say quickly. I mean, I don't mind that one, but the thing is, I think we saw. First of all, it was. I mean, I'm fine with trending in a positive direction. I want to see more Caspers. I think we all do. I mean, didn't feel like enough, to be honest. Like I especially in the position they are. I know they won the game and they scrapped it out. I would have liked to see more of him. I would have liked to see a little bit more of him in that third quarter when they were just the game was in such a bad place where it's like, can it get worse? Can you try and find an offensive spark? But that duo specifically, I mean, it was a lot of Caspers off the ball. I mean, that's what some of Summer League was. That's what mostly he's been doing in Sioux Falls. If you've been seeing, it's been a lot of off the catch stuff on the wing where I think they don't want to put him out there right now in his debut with meaningful minutes where he's just running the show as a point guard. Like that is, I just think they don't want to do that. That's the one duo I think they're going to put him out there with a Davion or Drew every single time. They want to play him off the corners, play him off the catch, trying to get him into secondary actions. But I thought he was, I mean, look, he had a really good first defensive rep where he was pressuring all the way down the floor, got a stop. He had a corner three. I mean, his first rep was an assist to Jaime Jaquez. I mean, like we could go down the line. I thought he had some moments there. Like it's not always going to all be perfect, but I thought he had decent flashes where honestly in a game like this with guys out, it's not pretty. I would have liked to see a little more of him, but yeah, it was at least a fun 7-8 minute stretch.
Yeah, it was actually 8 minutes. 3 points, 1 of 1 on the threes, 1 assist, 1 turnover, no rebounds, and Casper's, I mean, his first extended playing time that he's gotten at this level. So we'll see if he gets more. I thought the fact that he went to him in some way. They could have brought Jameer Young back. He wasn't with the team, obviously. Again, they're short on guards. No Larson, no Hero, etc. That played into it. Myron Gardner was he was with the team tonight, was he not? Casper's played anyway, although obviously playing a different position. Let me go through some of the other numbers, and then we'll get to the second most important player of the night. Somebody I do want to focus on here a little bit. But the numbers tonight, Ware 22 and 12. Did not have a turnover, had 1 assist, 30 minutes. That's the key number for Kel'el. 30 minutes tonight. So Spo speaks with minutes. Wiggins, 33 minutes, 10 points, 3 of 11, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Bam, 4 of 13 from the field, 8 points. Did have 17 rebounds. That should be accounted for. Had another game where he struggled from 2. 4 of 11 from 2. This has been a bit of a trend lately that I've been watching. His numbers for the mid-range are down. I think this is a separate episode that we should start to talk about this a little bit. You're not getting consistent offense from him lately. I feel like we're at another point of another season where we're having these conversations, but he did have 17 rebounds tonight, but he also had the 5 fouls, which was one of the reasons he wasn't playing some of those minutes down the stretch. Davion, 30 minutes, 10 points, 5 of 11, 7 assists, had 2 turnovers tonight, another 3-1 plus turnover, assist turnover game. And Norm Powell, 24 points, 8 of 14. Kind of expect this. 5 rebounds. Another guy who, whenever he's questionable, he plays, right? Isn't that how this has played out this year? A lot of times when we talk about him being questionable, he ends up playing. Tyler Hero did not play tonight. We don't know when he will, but he is on the trip. I want to talk about somebody else, though, for second player of the game. So, Alex, let's roll that, and let's talk about that guy.
And now it's time for the A-Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebyLynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebyLynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebyLynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
All right, so we've already identified Ware. So for those who are joining us late on the live, we have touched on that already. But Jaime Jaquez Jr. has not had a lot of these games lately. Brady wrote a takeaway keys about it, about Jaime's opportunity to kind of get going. This felt like the kind of game he could get going, Alex. He ended up with 19 points, 9 of 13 from the floor, 29 minutes, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. I'm starting to get a feeling about Jaime, though, that against the bad teams, we're going to see this, and against the better teams, there's going to be some struggles. Is that eye test theater that I'm doing here, or is there something to that?
I don't think it's a crazy take at all. I think it's been one of those things where teams that just have better defenses, better defenders, and more guys to put on him, especially guys that are bigger than him and can move a little bit. I think that's what gives him trouble. Against a team like the Nets that has so much young talent, they weren't necessarily putting like big guys on him tonight. I think that was a good matchup for him. I overall still feel positive about him, even though like he's not at the same level that he was earlier this season. I still think, obviously tonight, great game. His overall mentality is still, I think, in the right place. It's not always not always perfect execution, but when it comes to what he's doing out there, like he is pretty consistently getting into the paint for you. Has done a much better job playmaking this year than he did last year, and of course the defense is better. So overall, I still feel great about Jaime. And also just like I know we've touched on this in other games, the fact that he can get to like that midi counter, the short midi counter. Occasionally, he had the one play early this game where he went at Danny Wolf and just saw like the guy slower than him. That was like the one guy who I would say was bigger than him that was guarding him. Not the whole night, but that saw a lot of looks as a bigger player. And that first one, I feel like he gets a level of confidence against bigger players as far as the guys who he considers to be slower than him. Like I feel like he looks confident against those type of players. But if it's somebody that has size and decent agility, I think that's where he, size, strength, and agility, all those things. That's where a lot of people have trouble with bigger, better defenders, right? And I think Jaime, like if you have somebody with size on him, knowing that he's always trying to get downhill, you can play against that, right? So him mixing in the midi here and there, I think is a positive thing too.
Also important to get a good game from him because this is another sort of weird Wiggins game offensively. Yeah, you didn't get a ton. 3 of 11 from the floor, 1 of 6 from 2 tonight. And not a lot of the other stuff either. There's been some of these for Andrew lately too. So they're having trouble kind of getting anybody but Norm to be consistent here. That's been an issue for the last 3 weeks. All right, we got more of the comments that are rolling up here. Again, want to mention a couple things to people before we get to the play of the night, and then we'll close this one out. On our side pages, we're running a bunch of other teams, but you guys only care about the Heat. Brady and Alex both writing for that page, so make sure that you check that out for the takeaways, the grades, majors doing the description after every game, and link in the description, of course. And off the floor, we can't say that you can watch the games with us, but you can chat about the games with us during the games on our stage with the same cast of characters, Eternal, Ben, Matt, Adele, Ray, of course, Ray. The entire crew is on there every game, and they're doing a lot of the same kind of stuff that you saw in playback, which we did not shut down playback. We are not responsible for that. That happened to them. All right, let's get to the play of the night, and we'll have more content over the weekend. Obviously, the Heat are playing the Knicks this weekend, which is going to have a lot of attention.
And now it's time for the X-Ray of the Play of the Day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you. If you work in a hospital or a medical office, get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-ray of the play of the day.
First thing, before we get to this, we always thank Nelson and our their great team there. If you're a medical technician, also make sure that you reach out to them. Want to thank other sponsors that have been coming in of late. Perhaps you're anticipating a Giannis trade, but whatever the reason is, we appreciate the business. And this comes in from Bohan before we get to the play of the night. Are the SI articles free? Yes, we do not have a paywall. So unlike your fine local newspapers, in which I greatly admire the writers, and I was a writer for 25 years, we're not making you pay to read. They're not making you pay to read either, by the way, but the people above them are. So you can check out all the SI articles, and typically we have between 6 and 10 Heat articles a day. So a lot of stuff there. Again, appreciate everybody for contributing here tonight. Let's get to the play of the night. Brady, what do you got? There were a couple in the fourth quarter during that run, right, where they pushed it to 11. I thought were meaningful.
Yeah, I would maybe say, just thinking of a random one, there was that random Norman Powell like fadeaway on the baseline that you thought had no chance of going in that somehow dropped. I mean, that was kind of a late fourth quarter play, but that was kind of my segue just to talk about Norm a little bit. I mean,
a half court floater.
There we go. My bad. That's a great one. What am I saying? I brought up the wrong Norm play.
Yes.
Yeah, one-handed half court, probably got fouled. And
is that sustainable?
Yeah, I mean, does that count as a shot attempt? I don't know with these new rules. Yeah, I mean, he was solid tonight. I mean, he had 3 threes in the first half, 24 points, 8 of 14 shooting. Like we said, he's been efficient. I thought he got back to what he was doing early in the season, which was just in his wheelhouse, one-on-one basketball. Just if he has the shot, he takes it. If he doesn't, he passes. And if not, he's working one-on-one and trying to get downhill. And he was really efficient getting downhill. He was able to get there on with some of the bigger help that was coming. I just thought he was just good in that area. Also, while dealing with the calf tightness, like you talk about, like these guys not playing. I mean, anytime I see that guy in an injury report, he ends up playing, and he ends up playing well. Like I don't remember him being on an injury report many times where I'm like, well, he shouldn't have played this game. He didn't look right. Like that doesn't happen with him. He always seems to kind of play through it, like play at a high level. And he helped Miami, specifically early in this game when the game was a little smoother, kind of stay afloat. He kind of let them keep a little distance with Brooklyn. So credit to him. I mean, like you said, he's kind of probably been their one piece that's you kind of know what you're getting on a regular basis. You're going to get an efficient 20, it feels like, with a few threes. Like that's what you're going to get from Norm. Everybody else, it feels like it's kind of just somebody else stepping up, somebody else dropping off a little bit, which has kind of been problematic. Specifically with the bench, I mean, it's just really hard. I mean, when we compare like different things of what's happening now compared early in the season, it's like they were getting such high-level bench production, like 6 through 10. Every night, like 6 through 10, you knew you were going to get this many points from this guy, efficiency from this guy. Fontecchio was going to hit 3 threes. Like you knew what you were getting. And right now it's, these occasional games from Jaime where he's dropping 20 and looks like the way he did tonight. And you don't really know what else. And especially when Kel'el's in the starting lineup, that's even more so the case, right? Like, I mean, if you don't have that ability off the bench where he's subbing in for Bam, you kind of get that production. It just makes this a little more interesting, which is why in games like this, I mean, I'm not going to punch this point home too hard, but like I'd rather see a little bit more of a guy like Kasper's. I'd rather see some of your guys with not just because they have potential and you want to see what they are, but like there's a real thing when you put somebody in that is a spark that like energizes your group. That's something different. Like that is like a real thing to kind of change a game. And sometimes when you have guys that are struggling and they just keep coming in and taking a bunch of contested threes or bad shots and it leads to bad basketball, we're seeing what's kind of happening to their offense. So like, yes, this was a win, a needed win, an ugly win. But look, they played Boston in less than 24 hours. And with the way this offense is trending, they need to figure this offense stuff out. Like they got their win. You definitely aren't celebrating this win, but you have to get to work on this offense thing because this isn't going to work against these other teams. It's just been too clogged. You cannot have Jaime taking turns and Norman taking turns and nothing else in between because these other teams aren't Brooklyn. They're not going to let you get away with these 5-minute stretches of bad basketball and bad offense. They're going to take off in games like this and leave you in the dust. So the offensive thing is something to really look at moving forward because it just has not been smooth.
All right, 3 things from me real quick, and we're going to close here. First thing, as far as the bench goes, it has been inconsistent, and I do think that gives Spoelstra the license to play someone like Kasper's, to make some changes, because we have not seen them play anywhere close to the level they were playing before. I do think, and I don't want to overemphasize this because he's not an all-star level player, but I do think Larson makes a big difference as far as being part of that bench. Because at least you know with him, and again, he was playing well as a starter, but at least you know with him what you're getting. You're getting high-intensity defense. He's making threes at a higher clip than some of these, higher clip than Fontecchio's been making them lately for sure. Fontecchio had the one today, and I know Crotty and Reed were celebrating, but I'm kind of like, it's like Simone's first three I've seen in 2 months now. I mean, since the start of the season. So I don't know that you can continue to play him. Larson's a must play. I do think you lean into a Kasper a little bit. And I'll just close with this because the comments are all about this. And we have these debates at some point every season. I want to see more games where Bam elevates. I just do. And I know we're going to have the same debate.
How many times, man? We don't need to have a debate. We just know who he is and who he isn't. There's no debate on it anymore. Like you said, we do this every year.
I get it, but I know who he is and who he isn't, and I appreciate who he is, and he's worth a lot of money.
Expect more, honestly.
But the contract dictates that you do. The contract dictates that you do. That's just where you're at. And I love the guy. He's a tremendous representation of the franchise. He's a good captain. He's a great person. He's an elite defender. You go through these stretches of the season, and if you got a guy at that level, there are times that he has to get you out of the mud. And
no, I mean, he had a bad game. There's no doubt about it. I just think like this whole like
game he's had the last 10, Alex. It's not the first bad game we've had this conversation a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Like we already know that he can't give you great offensive performances every night. I'm not here trying to defend him. Like I still think I personally still think everything he gives you is worth the contract overall, which by the way, he hasn't even started on that yet. It doesn't start till next
that's
season.
true.
But
well, right.
But just in general, like, I think they didn't pay him to average 25 points a game, and I don't think they paid him thinking that he was going to give you like that type of offensive production every night because he hasn't shown that. He's shown that he can give it to you every once in a while, and then when he's not scoring 25, he's going to screen, he's going to play make, he's going to roll, and he's going to be one of the best defenders in the league. That's what they paid him to do. I'm just being real about it.
You are being real about it. I agree with you about a lot of that. I also understand the fans. I also understand the fan sentiment that when you're going through a stretch of games like this, sometimes it's like, okay, can they have a Bam game? That's the thing. And tonight they had a Ware game and they had a Jaquez game, and Bam had 17 rebounds. I get it. That's good. He's averaging over 9.5.
They held the Nets
close to 9.5. Yes, and he played a big role in that. And I'm sure on a rewatch,
their defense has been shit. Getting back to where they're supposed to be on defense definitely is a reason they won because it wasn't their offense.
There's no way I'm rewatching that game. But if I did rewatch it, then I would focus on that a little bit more. But I'm just saying I understand the fan sentiment in these situations. I'm not saying he has to drop 35, but what was it tonight? 8 points on what we're looking at. What I mean, I get he's a big part of the defense. I get the 17 rebounds. I'm just saying 4 of 13. 4 of 11 from 2 in 31 minutes. They got to get more. I mean, I'm not expecting Wiggins to give them a lot every night. Okay. I think we're starting to see Wiggins kind of settle into what he is, right? I think some of the early season performances gave us a little bit too much hope, but I just think Bam, like everybody else,
he had a terrible offensive night tonight. There's no doubt.
There could be more expectation level there, even if we understand he's not going to be a consistent 30-point scorer. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. I just killed the next podcast. We could have had another one. So there we go. Appreciate everybody for joining tonight. What was the comment on here? I hope Greg got some sleep. Me too, because I'm going to sleep now. So that game put him to sleep. All right. Have a good night, everybody.